all that you have given us. Help us, Lord, to take a few moments from our daily lives, to pause, and to just be in your presence. It is for these things we pray that you teach us in spite of me or through me. Amen. So this begins our second week of our study of the spiritual disciplines as we move through Lent in preparation for the great victory that is Easter. And as I said, that this Lent, rather than focusing on our sins and all of that reflection stuff, we're going to look at the things that build us up and that lead us into that celebration, that preparation for the victory, and not this lament for all of the ways that we have fallen short. Last week we began by talking about prayer, and if you remember, I mentioned how prayer is not meant to be complicated, it's not meant to be a public spectacle, and that sometimes prayer is not even saying anything, but rather kind of sitting there and allowing God to speak to us. This week we turn our attention to both gratitude and meditation. Meditation is kind of a build off of that idea of quieting ourselves and allowing God to speak to us. And so as part of the sermon this morning, I'm going to actually offer us an opportunity to take a few moments to quiet our minds, not just yet, but I'm going to help us just to understand that sometimes in order to be grateful and in order to fully connect with God, we need to prepare ourselves for that. And so what I'm going to ask us to do in a few moments is I'm going to ask us to take a moment. It'll be roughly 30 seconds to just breathe, to let go of all of the things that we have to do today, and to just allow ourselves to feel the world around us, to feel the pew beneath us, the ground beneath our feet, to hear the background noises. And so now, if you will, take that 30 seconds with me and just close your eyes. And we're going to be quiet. Time. 30 seconds is really not a lot of time out of our day. And yet when we sit there and when we quiet our minds, I bet you probably felt like that was a pretty long time, didn't you? That sometimes when we take time to stop rushing around and being busy, it almost seems like the pause is longer than the actual time that we're doing things. If we were to each take 30 seconds, literally 30 seconds, which is probably 8 breaths on an average breathing cycle, 8 slow, deep breaths, and we took that time to just be, how much more peaceful our lives can be. Think about if in the middle of your busy workday, when everything was running running around and chaotic. And when you had so much to do, if you took 30 seconds to just pause, how much calmer would your life be? And 30 seconds is not enough to make or break the world. Nothing is going to fall apart in 30 seconds. All of the job will still get done. Everything will still happen as it needs to happen. But you will have had that time to just calm and center yourself. And to allow God to kind of be there and be present with us. And part of what that does is it helps us also to reflect on what it is that we have. That in 30 seconds of quiet, just calm meditation, we can actually get a different perspective on the world. Which leads us into our next discipline, which is gratitude. Gratitude, in the spiritual practice thereof, is the idea that we thank God for everything that's in our lives, that we are grateful for all that He has blessed us with. For even the breath we take, which is a gift from God. There is nothing that guarantees that 5 minutes from now, we are going to be breathing. Except that God chooses to continue to give us life. And everything that we have, all of the blessings that we have because of where we were born, who we were born to, who's in our lives, is all blessings from God. And if we begin to think about all of the things that we do have, and stop worrying about all of the things that we don't have, we find that our lives are much happier. Because as you reflect on the things that you do have, you begin to appreciate them, and you begin to find a little bit of contentment. But when you're always focusing on the things that you don't have, then you're always going to feel that you're falling short, that something is missing. You'll always feel that there is something that you need. And so part of that spiritual discipline and the practice of this gratitude is not just to thank God for what He does, but it is also to help yourself be at more peace, be more content with life in general, to be happy. And that is like the miracle that comes with some of these disciplines, that you really do begin to change how you feel when you start practicing these things. And it can be from the smallest thing to the great things that God has given you. The small things like running water, as I mentioned with the kids, to the great things like the loves of your life. And then when we start to do this and practice this, we also begin to notice things about others in the world too. That as we practice our own gratitude and our own contentment, and we help make ourselves happier, we also begin to notice the things that others need. And it helps us become more like God in that way too, and that then we begin to see how we can help others as well. And it builds us up closer and closer to God in all of these different facets. And so as this Lent continues, I want to encourage you to try both of these practices. To take a little time, 30 seconds, no more than 30, you don't need more than 30 seconds. You can even have a little timer, some people do that. To sit and to just be still. To breathe without worrying about anything else. And then to also be grateful. To say thank you to God for all that He gives you, and to literally think about the the things that you were given, to acknowledge that everything that you have is really a gift from God. And that He's not some magical Santa Claus that comes and gives us all of the big things that we want, but that He always is giving us the things that we need and caring for us, even in the ways that we don't expect or think about on a regular basis. In doing these two things, I hope that you will grow closer to God as I have found these practices to help. And I hope that they will prepare you for the celebration that is to come. Celebration, by the way, is the discipline of the 5th week that we had this Lent. So please look forward to that as well. Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for the gifts that you have given us, and ask that you would help us to be more holy this Lent by helping us to take a few moments to be thankful and to take a few moments to just be. Gracious Lord, bless us to your service. Amen.